once I get the perfect clip in a race, and look at the difference it makes with my teammate Chris, who was next to me. He got absolutely dropped. So yeah, I'm proud of my clip in today, but it doesn't matter, we're on the same team and it's only the start of the race, and yeah, a bit of fun banter. Anyway, this is the Richard Kell round 2 race. Now this, I think, was definitely the windiest race I've ever done. Beforehand, I went to the toilet and I literally thought the toilet was gonna go up in a tornado. The wind was whistling, and yeah, it was definitely the windiest race I've done. It was going from like west to east, so the left hand side here I was trying to keep protected. All them riders on the right, they are all getting a lovely protection from the wind there, from all the other riders on the left hand side. So my goal for the first little bit of the race was to stay protected, because I'm not that big a rider or anything like that, so I really feel the wind, I find. And we did have a bit of a team today. We had 3 riders, myself, Chris, who's in front, my teammate Will, and then half a teammate and our friend Tom, who you can just see up there on the left, from SRCT, the Scott Redding race team. And yeah, he's a Reading club rider, I think, but he races for them, so we're friends until the end of the race when we're going to the finish line. So yeah, but our plan was, in the first half of the race, was for me and Chris to try and get in some attacks, and then our friend Will to go on maybe the 3rd or 4th one, thinking that may be the attack that sticks. So yeah, let's get into the race. So I think we're a couple of laps in here, and you'll see on the right hand side people going round them cones, like there. And this little bit was, I always find hard to get my head around, because I want to be on that side of the track so I can get the protection from the left hand riders. But the problem is, people going in and out of them cones, and sometimes there's like red cones, and people get so close to going into them, and I don't want to get stuck behind someone with a cone flying up in my face, or into a red one, like the big sticky up ones, and fall off my bike. So I've found it really hard to get my head around being on the right side of the draft up this hill. And it was quite fatiguing as well, actually. And if you look on the left here, you can see a couple of riders who have got away. I think they're about 7 seconds up the road here. So where I was busy watching out for cones and being weary, a couple of riders have managed to get away. But I noticed it at this point, and we're going up the hill, so I kind of want to recover, because I'm expecting that once we go down the downhill on the back straight, the pace tends to pick up loads, because people try to chase down the hill. So yeah, I was fully aware of them getting away, and I was kind of getting ready to maybe do a counter myself if we catch up to them. So we hit the downhill, and yeah, it all picks up. You can see it all going on the right. Look at my RPM here, 110 on the cadence. And I had a bit of a problem today with my gears, because they weren't shifting properly. So I would change gear, and every time I changed gear, it was like a 1 second, 2 second delay. So I literally, every time I tried to snap, it was just a spin, and nothing really to get any resistance in the pedal. So yeah, it's really frustrating. Quite a lot of the times I'm above 110, 115 RPM cadence, whatever you want to refer to it as. And then them riders down there are getting away. But yeah, it was a bit of a pain. So we didn't catch them on this straight, because obviously they went for it as well. But you can see it all bunching up here, and then as we come down to this bottom corner, they go down the bottom corner, and they've still got their gap, and I think they actually end up getting away, which was a little bit frustrating, because it had happened in the first week as well. And if you look at the left hand side, you can kind of just about see them going up the slight hill now, and we haven't gained on them at all. So that back straight didn't work for us to catch down, so I'm expecting another huge surge on the way up. At this point here, there's been a bit of a slight split in the peloton, so I think where we had been chasing them down, a few riders have really stuck it on, and it's yeah, I think people are getting fatigued from the wind and the last effort up this hill. So I'm thinking to myself, I need to get into that front a peloton, but I'm thinking there's enough riders around me that it should get pulled back together. But I'm kind of believing that people may be being a bit fatigued. If you look on the left, the guy's kind of a lot of movement in his upper body, and if I was finding it a little bit hard, I know people around me were finding it hard. So as we come around this corner, it eases up. So I come around here, and on the right hand side it looks like there was two riders who may have tried to get away in a bit of a break. My friend Tom there, I think he may have been part of it. He's just in front of me. So I'm thinking, maybe it's time to try and do my own attack, and see what happens of it. So as I come through, I can see a little bit of a gap there. So I work my way through, stick down the power, keep the momentum going, and I managed to glide past. But I've actually lost, I didn't get the footage from the rear camera, so this is kind of me on the front. I can see the women's race on the left hand side, and I used that as kind of like my marker to catch up to. But I did end up making a nice little bit of a gap round here and coming down the hill. I looked behind a few times and no one was really bothered about chasing me down. So I think my friend Chris said I got about 30-40 metres away, which I was quite happy with. And I'm looking at this van in front of me thinking, wouldn't it be nice just to get behind that and use that as a draft? But no, I know they're probably watching me behind, and I'm definitely not allowed to do that, I'd rather get pulled out the race. And I'm coming up to the female race in front of me here, and I'm thinking actually this might be quite a good thing, because I know they're all over the road at the moment, and I was thinking to myself that sometimes in previous races that I've done where we come up on female races, the peloton gets so disorganised sometimes going around all of them that they lose seconds in trying to chase anyone down. So I'm thinking here, this is quite good. Actually, I don't end up going past this group very fast, so I'm going to wind it on a little bit. But yeah, I was quite happy with this, and at this point I had a really decent gap behind me. So I safely get around them, and I'm thinking to myself, yes, I finally got this corner. I can go around it without anyone going wide or into me. So I can pedal around this corner like so, which never happens. Normally I've got someone on the inside trying to dive bomb me out, or people in the way, and I can't get over to the right hand side. Yeah, and I'm looking behind. I'm not sure if you can see in the shadow in a second. And I'm hoping that a couple of people try and bridge up to me at this point, because I don't really want to go up this hill all on my own. But it turns out everyone kind of catches up to me. But when they catch up to me, I'm thinking to myself, I'm hoping that Chris does a counter, because then he might end up getting away. Or if that counter doesn't work, our friend Will get away. So I'm looking over my shoulder there, just waiting for some of the lads to come through. But they have gained quite a bit on me up this hill, because they tend to sprint up this hill. So I'm trying to do an effort that's not too far out of my comfort zone. So yeah, they finally catch up with me. This guy goes around me. He's putting a bit of speed down, a bit of a gap. People may be losing wheels at this point. And I'm thinking to myself, where's my mate Chris? Where are you? And or even Will at this point, but I think our idea was Will to go in the second half. So I try and sit back, not to do much work, and there's no one really countering at this point, so I try and go on the right hand side to try and get people on the left to come through, but no one wants to work, and I'm waiting for this counter from my buddies, and nothing is happening. And at this point, about half a lap later, another split has occurred up this hill. I think I spent too much time trying to see where my teammates were, and as I came up this hill, I'd felt so far back in the peloton that them guys up there had got away. So I'm thinking, I need to bridge over to that again. So I try and stick a bit of power down to not drag anyone up with me. And me and this guy managed to get up. And a lap later, and that guy goes around the cones, another big effort hits, and I'm just like, oh man, they are really ripping my legs off today. 500 watts again, trying to stick onto the wheel, but it's easier said than done. I managed to get back just about, but yeah, these efforts are really surging me out. And at this point here, I managed to get back on earlier, just done a pull on the front, because I think there's a couple of riders we're trying to chase down at the top of the road. These riders come through, but there's about 10, 15 riders maybe behind me, and none of them want to pull through. It's like they want me to stick the top 3 wheels, and I'm thinking to myself, hold on, I'm not closing that down. You guys are going to have to come around me to do that, because I've just done a pull on the front. And now these gaps are opening up. There's a ton of riders behind me. I'm looking back and I'm like, what are you all doing? Come around me. Let's make a bit of a chain gang. I think I'm getting moaned at there for not pulling. But I'm like, hold on, I've just pulled us all up the hill. So yeah, we come up to this corner here. God knows where all the other riders are. And yeah, just there's like 2, maybe 3 riders up the road. Getting away, come around this corner, and I think this guy peels off, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm not going to pull through here because I've just pulled it up that dreadful hill and I'm in pain. And then and then I get moaned at, and I'm like, mate, there's about 10, 15 other riders here doing no work. And look at all these riders that didn't pull through up the hill. They're all happy to go on it now there's a tailwind. So yeah, so at this point I thought, you know what, I'm just going to stick at the back of this peloton, and yeah, so I'm not near the front, so I don't accidentally get on the front again, because look at all of them, and it was all dependent on like me and 4 other riders. So I was like, nah, I'm going to sit back a little bit more now and try and recover as much as I can. Now at this point there's a couple of riders that have gone up the road that have been chased down, and again, above 400 watts up this hill and into this wind, and I don't know how much more of this. I can actually feel myself braking at this point in the race, and I'm thinking, God, when is the 3 laps going to go? And the problem is, when you do 3 laps at Abingdon, you know it's still about 12-15 minutes left, depending on the wind. And I was like, oh geez. So I'm trying to stay behind people, but even in their draft, I'm still doing like 300 watts a lot of the time, even 400 watts on the way back up there. And it's rough work in this environment. Anyway, 5 minutes later, I'm still in the race. I can see this guy on the left and now in front of me going for it. So I think, you know what, I'm going to try and get on his wheel if I can, so I don't get surged off the back. Because when I did start recovering, doing 400 watts at the back was killing. So I thought I might as well just do 400 watts at the front. So then if I do ease off, I only fall back to the back of the peloton rather than off the back of the peloton. So yeah, so I managed to, he's got a bit of a gap, but I kind of managed to chase it down and get back onto his wheel eventually. But at this point, yeah, I was feeling quite fresh, I was feeling okay, so I think I rolled through for a bit. But it's these little things when you think you feel fresh, but it's these little efforts that end up like getting you towards the end of the race, fatigued. And yeah, considering I was fatigued like 5 minutes ago and I felt fresh again, maybe I should just try and feel fresh that little bit longer with 3 laps to go. But again, a few minutes later, another 400-500 watt up this hill, and I can feel this in my legs now, and I start to begin to brake. A little gap opens up in front of me, and I'm like, how is that opening up? And I'm looking down now and realise I'm doing 400 watts and I'm falling off the wheel, and I'm like, how has that happened? And I'm like, oh man, I'm in the process of getting dropped. That guy bridges over and I'm like, oh no, come back. I try and put a little bit of an effort, but there's absolutely nothing in my legs right now. My quads are lit up from that little effort on that one. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, we've only got like a lap left. How has this happened? And I'm thinking, nah, I can't let this happen to me. So I know they're about to slow down on this bit here because of the headwind. So I'm thinking to myself, I just need to do a little sprint to surge back on. I put down the power one last time and hope that it can get me to them. And thankfully, my last match worked and it got me back to the peloton. But at that point, I was ready to quit and just not put that effort in. But I thought, there's 1 lap left here. You can't be giving up with 1 lap to go. Even though you've been dropped, just give it one big effort. And if they had kicked up the pace that they should be into this headwind, they would have been rid of me. So at this point, I have survived the last lap. We've got one corner left. And it may look like I'm getting dropped a bit here, but I am thinking to myself, I know they're all going to slow down before they go for it, because it ends up a bit like a cat and mouse. So I'm thinking to myself, I really need to get in the mid-pack to try and get into position here. But I am feeling a bit fatigued at this point. I know I'm under 200 watts. And I'm thinking maybe if I go out wide on this corner, I can use all their draft and somehow get a momentum. But you can see the boys sprinting off in front of me. I'm thinking, right, go out wide, then I can pedal my heart out around this corner. So I pick it up going into it while I stay coast, 400 watts. But my legs are lit up at 400, 500 watts there. I managed to get just under 800, but there's absolutely nothing in me. And I know there's no way of me winning that sprint today. My legs were on fire. So yeah, that is the race. That was the round 2. Sorry about the commentary today, because I'm recording this a week later, and I raced at this race yesterday, which I've got a fantastic result out, which I'm really happy with, which I'll take you through in the next video. But yeah, that was the race. It was rough, the windiest race I've ever done. It turned out my friends, my teammates Chris and Will, they bailed out I think halfway into the race, so when I was trying to find them, they wasn't actually there. But yeah, they shouldn't be disappointed in that, because it turns out of about 50, 60 riders that were in that race, maybe 40, 50, half of the group DNF'd. There was a few punches and a few broken hearts with the wind. So yeah, anyway, the next race down here was a week later that I've already raced in. I need to upload the video and do the commentary. That was yesterday, and that was a really good race with some amazing tactics that worked out. There was a couple of big teams in there, so we took advantage of that. And yeah, hopefully that video will be up in the next couple of days. So if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. If I get 1,000 subscribers, apparently I can, according to YouTube, I can do live video. So how cool would it be to do a live crit? So yeah. Anyway, take care of yourselves, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys soon.